What do you think of when you think of disability? Someone in a wheelchair or someone who's blind? No matter what they look like, their impairment means life can be harder for them than it is for people without disability. The fact they can't walk or see is the reason why they can't use stairs or read words with their eyes. But what if we told you the reason why it was harder for them to participate in society was not because of their diagnosis, but because of the design of the world around them? Nick Parsons is now a senior lawyer at a Sydney law firm. He specialises in litigation. Nick is blind and uses a cane to navigate physical spaces.
The judges are aware of what
and a screen reader for digital ones. But things haven't always worked smoothly. Nick's screen reader was incompatible with the computer systems at the government department he worked at a decade ago. It meant he needed help from others to file important documents. Failing to do so could have had big consequences.
A client who's served with a statutory demand, which means that your company can be wound up if you don't apply to set it aside within 21 days exactly, no extensions. And so if a client comes to you, as they often do, at the very last minute, and want you to file this application to set it aside, if you can't do that before 5 p.m. on the 21st day, that company may be subject to winding up.
6 pages and then affidavit of the director.
Nick was frustrated to have to rely on others to do his job,
Just anywhere.
which he felt he was otherwise more than capable of.
Like up there?
Yep.
I felt like I had my hands tied behind my back. I felt like I was letting people down because I was unable to do fairly simple things.
Nick then went to work at a small firm, but there were similar issues there. He learned to code, creating a new accessible file system for the whole organisation.
At that point in my career, I was young, I was very enthusiastic. As I've gotten older, I've reflected more on that. Now, I don't want to spend my time doing that because my time's more valuably spent actually doing, the legal work.
Many people would see Nick's struggles as a result of his blindness. That's known as the medical model of disability, where someone's barrier stems from a medical difference. But that's not how Nick felt. He says it was because of his environment. That's known as the social model of disability, that says that people are disabled not by their impairments, but by the world around them.
We're thinking here about both kind of cultural factors like attitudes towards people with disabilities, discrimination, as well as physical kind of barriers like ramps, lack of ramps for people.
Professor Anne Kavanagh says society has over-medicalised disability to the point where many people view those living with it as needing to be fixed.
That sees someone with disabilities as inherently lesser, if you like, than someone who doesn't have a disability. One of the other consequences of seeing disability through a medicalised medical model only is it's seen kind of as a tragedy. The social model of disability is really important, has a lot of merit. However, it does not take away from the fact that people still experience that disability.
While simply viewing things through the social model isn't a silver bullet, many people with disability are increasingly turning towards it. They're tired of having to change themselves to be included in society. They want society to take more responsibility to include them. A wheelchair user for more than 40 years, Jeremy Muir knows how much easier society is to navigate when it's been designed to include everyone.
I live a very independent life, or I try to, and my independence is only restricted by my surroundings and the built environment.
Jeremy's home has been fitted out with various modifications, including a lift. But just 50 metres beyond his front door, it's a different story.
This curb cut is non-compliant, which means I, in my manual wheelchair, could not safely navigate this curb cut. This one also, you can see, has lots of mud and dirt in there, which also means that it would be impossible for me to get through even if it was compliant. So for me to get across this street here, I have to go down onto the road, along the road, and then try to access the footpath from a driveway further up.
Jeremy used to work as a disability advisor, helping people access resources, common spaces and adjustments. Ironically, his team was moved to an old, inaccessible building. To go to the toilet, Jeremy had to wheel into a different building.
It felt like they didn't want me to be part of the team.
Jeremy is now the CEO of Physical Disability Australia. He's witnessed lots of change around accessibility over the last few decades, but wants to see more.
20 years ago, I wouldn't be able to access my local train station, and because there's all accessible parking and there's more accessible toilet facilities in most places where you go, unfortunately it still takes a willingness and it still takes the right attitude. It still takes government funding and policy and disability standards to ensure that that access keeps improving.
There are many different ways to view disability, more than the two we've mentioned here. And while imperfect, each of them provides a glimpse into something that lots of people don't talk about or understand. Ultimately, people with disability just want to be able to go about their lives like everyone else.
I would like disability to be viewed as just simply part of the human condition, not a tragedy, not necessarily a superpower, just part of being human in the world.